To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who arise then I prostrate. With your pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, to you I prostrate. With your supreme signs, face like spotless snow, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having greater compassion, the teacher having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path to sublime pure reality, to that Dharma which pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community attending virtue I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. a star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from the ocean of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje Jono Zoje Jono Ma Chanju Bado Dane Dagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Je and Dola Benje Sanje Jono Zoje Jono Chanju Bado Dane Dagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Je and Dola Benje Sanje Jono Zoje Jono Ma Chanju Bado Dane Dagin Jeso Jebe Sonam Je and Dola Benje Sanje Jono
I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I created by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I created by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit created by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Tamje Jamala Cha Zemonde Da Sanje Jumden Den Shen Wanda Juma Jiden Jamba Jivon Deva Kalo Jiva Lana Meba Lana Mena Sanje Jumden Desu Jejava Dena Zona Da Vidudama Geveza Wanda Machumi Severa Doja Sonam Jitera Peje Sambanam Jeva Chanam Jemedo Jeva Juyerim Batam Tonam Bidim Wanda Nobraka Sheriff City Medeva Donala Zeva Meva Simjatam Jitamba Chanju Samba Java Fabe Kazama Jevo Nyangele Deva Twanju no Jowana Jete Sheva Meva Baba Sanje Meja Sonamba Yanyu Kujata Vicho Mijevo Kusomba Meva Devata Gamaka Suda Ganjevo Sumeva Tata Maduka number two Kumba Dana number two Kamana Medeva Jaja Namada Madubana Shindo Jeva Yoga number two Shivala Juba Juvala Geva Yijayan Zuba Deva Majumba Tata Sanje Jumde Yishila Neva Nyangela Devala Medeva Yanova Nijatana Simjatam Jala Siva Sala Juba Ten the Dami Sanje Jumde Kuchevaya de Yanova Namasova Beshana Tomageva Padogeva Tamageva Terraza Pacific Moment Yozo Yozo Tava Yozo Chawaya Tava Demeva Tesheva Yavata Patoma Tejava Keva So Ranga Jiva Jiva Jumden the Jana was a Pachunda Walla never to Yavaja was over Chaka to watch. Mediuma Major Devada Debatema Jiva Jiva Java, Tavajim again, and never Juba, Riba Juba, Tabajuba, Tomajuba, Tamajuba, Charge away with the Java Sona Yabejation, years of Joan Jibenda Zujuva Kuno, Jibenda Zujuva Chambo, Kangia to Zenya Zona Dawata, Java Bejata, Quadam Charles. So we are on the repeating other power nature is not similar to the repeating worldly convention. So in the Prasangika school, we don't accept the other power nature. No. So other power nature means things that born from other. So in the Prasangika school, nothing has born by itself, from other, from both, without a cause. So other power natures even don't accept the conventional level. Right? In the root text, so root text is the manner in which you assert your dependent nature, the other power natures, we do not accept even on the conventional level, and yet to gain the result for the sake of the world. Yet, but it says that, but we don't really accept the other power natures, even in the conventional level, but for the sake of enlightenment, for the sake of compassion for the enlightenment. So, yet to gain the result, the sake of the world, we speak of things existing, even though they do not exist. So what does that mean? So first it says other power natures is not possible, but we can say, for the mind-only school, and that is acceptable for the mind-only school. Or if you are Prasangic school, proponents of the Prasangic school, but still when it comes to, individual like a mind-only school follower, and we have to say the other power natures truly exist. Yeah. So we, as a Prasangic school, and the person only is suitable for the mind-only school. We cannot say, you have to say the other power natures not exist.
For the mind-only school.
For the mind-only school, yes. This is what Buddha says. For the mind-only school, Buddha says only the consciousness truly exists. For the Prasangic school, says nothing truly exists. For the Siddhantika school, says any conditioned things is ultimate truth. Other than that, unconditioned are conventional. So because Buddha's teachings, the foundation of the teaching is compassion.
Guess that for mindful only, are causes and conditions considered truly exist?
Yes, mindful school, yeah. So yet to gain the result for the sake of world, for lead the sentient beings to the enlightenment, we have to, so we have to accept some time for the mind-only school, and the consciousness truly exist. So we speak of things existence even though they do not exist. As to the manner in which you, the Chittamatra, assert your other power natures as something real and existent by virtue of its existence, such as is found in the line 30 verses that says, for when one is not seen, the other isn't. So which you accept in your own systems, autonomous and cognized by Aryan verses. So I think this will explain, when one is seen, other isn't. System autonomous and Aryan verses. The we, for one, do not accept such intrinsic reality even on a conventional level. So what do you accept then? So you might ask, for me, even though the things such as aggregates do not exist intrinsically, they are acknowledged within the framework of everyday world alone. So we can say, according to mind-only school, the other power natures truly exist. According to Siddhantika school, conventional, conditional things are ultimately exist. So it's for the sake of world alone we speak of things' existence. So what do you accept, you might ask, for even though such aggregates do not exist intrinsically, they are acknowledged within the framework of the everyday world. So now this is conventional, conventionally, yes, the form, sound, smell, taste exist. Ultimately, you know, ultimately they do not exist. The form ultimately not exists, conventionally exist, which means from the point of view of the wisdom realizing emptiness, there is no form, sound, smell, taste, textures to be existence, but relatively or conventionally, or from the conventional knowledge, yes, the form, sound, smell exist. Like, for example, yes, the future is exist. The future exists because the conventionally, with relation to the present, the future exists. The future do not exist by itself. So it's the same thing. So I think when you say that, origination, disintegration, relation, and directions, times are, they do not exist from the ultimate point of view. There is no such thing. But conventionally, which means relatively, if you construct the West and there is the directions, east and north and south. So if you construct unfavorable, and you automatically you will find, unfavorable because of the favorables. So if you, if you conceive present, and then you will find existing of the past and the future. So from that conventional level, from that conceptual, conceptually, what you have conceived as a present, because of that, and you will find the existing of the past and the future. And ultimately, there is no future to be existing. There is no past and present. So, in the similar way, even though you are Prasangic school, follower of the Prasangic school, but when it comes to benefit the minority school, this person's is not possible to understand the profound reality of the phenomena without introducing through the minority school. And you have to explain or teach their minority school point of views. Because you're as a Mayana practitioners, the bodhicittas, enlightened mind. What is that enlightened? When you say enlightenment, my future enlightenment, that is the enlightenment I'm going to achieve, right? And the bodhicitta, the enlightened mind, means what is that enlightenment? So others, others enlightenment, others the future Buddha. Bodhicitta is bodhicitta is genuine desire for others, attainment of the enlightenment. You see, right? Mm-hmm. So when you say, I'm going to achieve enlightenment, that enlightenment is your enlightenment. So Bodhicitta means bodhicitta is also focused on enlightenment. That enlightenment is others' enlightenment. So that is the main goal, to lead every sentient being to attain enlightenment. For that reason, or for the mind-only school, we have to agree with them, saying that yes, the consciousness truly exists. And then they, so Vasubandhu's text, he himself holds the mind-only school point of view, but he in the text explains Siddhantic school, and then he just he detailed explaining the Siddhantic point of view, and then it's at the end he says there's a contradictions. If you go this way, and then that means he showed that there's another view.
Yes, would you say like Prasangika school is relative to like mind-only school and Satantrika?
Prasangika school relative to
because Satantrika exists like East and West, I guess. I'm kind of thinking they're
like kind of in opposite, like if Satantrika thinks one thing, Prasangika is on the other side, like can you...
We're like time, how to present, future, and past. Maybe. Relative. Like
what's your question?
could you conceive them as being relative to each other?
Who?
Prasangika school, mind-only school, and Satantrika school. No.
I don't know. Are you saying what is the Siddhantika school's point of view on 3 times?
No, just their concept of how things exist is like you couldn't contrast Prasangika's view without mind-only school.
Yeah, the contrast means you have to have 2. Right? So now this is kind of saying that Buddha do not accept the other power natures. Buddha do not see the other power natures. So when he kind of counter with the mind-only school, and he teaches them, yes, the consciousness truly exists. Other than that, nothing truly exists. Because this is the view that is suitable for that. And with that mind-only school point of view, they gradually and eventually they may, pass that the sort of mind-only school point of view and then get to the Prasangika school point of view. You kind of use that as a step, one step, the second step, and third step. So, and sometimes Buddha, for the non-Buddhist school, when they raise the questions, is there Atma, the self or not? And Buddha says, yes, there is a self, like the one who carries the burden. Yes, there is the 5 aggregates, is the burden that carried by the self. So which they feel comfortable now. They're already preconceived and they don't want to change that. And with that mind, he also wants to follow Buddha's teaching. And they have the desire to attain enlightenment. So yeah, this is So for example, here, if you when there's the question asked to the mind, Prasangika school, is sounds, form, sound, smell, taste, textures, do they exist? And Prasangika guru says, conventionally yes, ultimately no. So they can say yes and no. Conventionally yes, ultimately no. So in this way, for the mind-only school, yes, the consciousness truly exists. So because the reason the mind-only school, what makes them think the consciousness truly exists, because it's a conditional. It is, it is the things that born from the cosmic condition. That is the only evidence to think the conventionals or conditional things are truly exist. So, yeah. And then also, Buddha mentioned the illusions, the mirror image are not truly exist. So there's, if you're mind-only school, there you have already contradictions. Mirror image does not truly exist. Every conditional things are truly exist. There is a condition. Mirror image is also the product. It's a conditional thing. And so illusion is the product. It's produced from the cosmic condition. And that is not truly exist. And the consciousness truly is because it's born from the cosmic condition. And then we can also say, why not? The illusions, the mirror image not truly exist. They're also born from the cosmic condition. So when they see these contradictions, and then they will kind of start to move away from the one, school's point of view to the another point of views. So if you don't see any contradictions, and then you will, not, there's no moving forward. You just stuck there. Yeah. So even though the aggregates do not exist intrinsically, they are acknowledged within the framework of the everyday world alone. So from the mundane, from the worldly convention, yes, so it's for the sake of world alone that we speak of things' existence. So almost like, if you can accept the existing of the form, sound, smell, taste, form from the point of view of the worldly convention, why cannot accept the consciousness truly exists from the point of view of the mind-only school? So like, sometimes there's just from the benefit, like mandala offering. So in the center, the Mount Mirror, and surrounded by all the planets, the offer to the Guru, So if you understand the Mount Mirror is non-existence, so and how do you do that? And then says just the purpose, which is a symbol that if the Mount Mirror is whole planets with my body, speech, and mind, I offer to the Guru. So there's some benefit from that accumulation merit. Even though it is, you cannot say, oh, I'm not going to do the mandala offering because the Mount Mirror does not exist. Right? Or you can say, I'm not going to do the mandala offering with the body, speech, and mind. If I offer this to the Guru, what I have left. so what I'm going to do. So there are two modes in which aggregates and so on are presented from the perspective of the worldly convention. The two mode in which aggregates and so on are presented from the perspective of the worldly conventions. One is the Madhyamika own positions of things on the convention level, which is done so on the basis of the acknowledge them from the perspective of the valid conventional cognition, but not done from the perspective of the rational cognitions inquiring into the ultimate nature of the things. So we can say, yes, color exists because I see it, and then yes, the color do not exist intrinsically. Both you can say it. So on some occasions, however, the aggregates and so on are presented in the scriptures as intrinsic existing for the specific purpose, specific purpose. But such assertions are not accepted as representing our own standpoint. When the Buddha says, yes, there is a self which carries the burdens of the five aggregates. So he is not talking the existing of self from his own point of view. He was saying because others' point of view. So you see self and aggregates are two independent, So this is what you see. The self is the carrier of the five aggregates, and the aggregates the burden that carried by the self. Intrinsic specific purpose. But such assertions are not accepted as representing our own standpoint. They are acknowledged purely from the perspective of others. So the refutation does not apply equally to these two distinct cases. Acknowledging things in such manner from the perspective of others is done to gain the result or for the purpose. It is skillful means to turn, spiritual aspirant, high, away from the inferior philosophical views and to help to gradually lead them to the realization of the suchness. So I think so this was very most, maybe it's a very difficult point in the Prasangika school. Say the conventionals, we accept it to be existing, just from the worldly point of views, conventional. So I think that you see the difference. Say the conventional, like 3 times, Prasangika school accept the 3 times, existing of the 3 times because of, from the worldly convention. And Prasangika says, from my own positions, 3 times do not exist intrinsically. So which means when I objectively inquiry into the reality, there is no such 3 times. But from the worldly convention, if I accept, worldly convention, if I accept when I speak of the present, and then I, automatically or I agree the existing of the past and the futures. So, and then what is the point of accepting the worldly conventional reality? So then there's for the gain, to gain the result. To gain the result means to to gain the result of the 6 perfections: the generosity, the patience, the morality, concentrations. So if you want to perfect the generosities, the patience, and concentration, you have to, practice, or you have to, you have to agree or accept the conventional reality. Yeah, you see this very kind of, it's a little bit strange, because we say for my generation, from my generating compassion in the bodhicitta, from there, I have to accept there is the me, the self, that exists separate from the body. When I analyze, examine how I exist, is I am already exists. So when I analyze, examine, I could not see the existence of self. So when I think of I'm going to attain enlightenment, because with that I have to accept the existence of myself. So it's the same thing. For example, say when I say the varieties of the color, smell, taste, textures of the bread, the varieties of from the bread, there's this color, smell, taste, textures. So I accept them varieties or separation of them because of the 5 sensory object. And at the same time, I also do not accept the varieties of the one single bread, the color, smell, taste, textures are separate. Yeah, same thing. Like when I say, when I think of, I'm going, something in my, when you say my front and my back. So because of something in the front of me, so that's my front. Something that is on the back side of me, so I accept my back. I have another back side of me. So it's because of things that are front and the back, and then I say my front, my back. But for when I look myself, so there is no back and front as many. So relatively means, So now the spiritual aspirant, right? Aspirant. So the skillful means to spiritual aspirant, which means now to perfect the generosities, patience, and morality, those conventional qualities, and so with that, I accept the conventional realities. So intention of this passage, the entering into middle way, is certainly not to assert that every presentation is made from the perspective of others, or to assert that we do not maintain any views in our systems. So that this cannot be a case can be discerned from the scriptures, the Chandakirti cites, from the scriptures, yeah. So made from the perspective of others. I think here the others, two-way, with the eye consciousness, the air consciousness, nose consciousness, the tongue consciousness, as a many separate consciousness. From there, I can say, yes, the color, sound, smell, textures are separate, are many. So now this is pretty much in the Prasangic school, for example, in the Prasangic school, Nagarjuna and Chandakya, when they read the 13th wheel of the Dharma, so they always says, oh, this is the purpose, and this is for minority school. So who are not, maybe it's not directly, explicitly suitable for the teaching, the emptiness from the Prasangic school point of view. General because, Chandakya decides to substantiate right here. They're presenting the three vows sutra, Dobasum, sutra. It is the wall that dispute with me. So this, it is the world that dispute with me. I do not dispute with the world. What is accepted in the world to exist, I too agree that it exists. What is accepted in the world to be non-existence, I too agree it does not exist. So the Buddhas, so sometimes Lama Tsongkhapa, in the essence of eloquence, there's one line that says, from the, for intelligence, from the wise, they find there's no dispute. That does not mean it's not disputable. So the Prasangic school, they don't see any contradictions that something need to be disputed on it, because the conventional and ultimate. But the minority school, Siddhantic school, and then for them they find it's disputable, it's arguable, because if you say the conventional realities exist and it is the reality for them, so it is the truly exist. So ultimate, the truly existing of the ultimate exists in the reality, conventional exists in the reality, the same meaning to them. Right. So the Prasangic school, so this is like whatever the conventional accepted. This always reminds me. There's there's a movie, The God Must Be Crazy, So there's one guy went to Africa, and there's one African helped him to tour everywhere. And when he time to go back, and he gave the Africa money, paper money, and our African man, he took it, and when the person fly back to his place, and he was just playing and throwing it, so it's no use for him. There's no conventional reality of that, from the money to buy something. So for their world, Their money is no, not for buying. It's just a paper. So it's a conventional means whatever, what do you call it? Yeah. Whatever people agree and accept and they see is functioning. You know, if they don't agree, it is not real. There's no function. So it's the same thing, like eye consciousness, eye consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness. From there, they see, each of the objects separately. From there, they say is a variety, many. But when you look from the point of view of the substance level, so there's nothing really divided, nothing really goes, become many. So this is what the Buddha said. It is the world that dispute with me. I do not dispute with the world, because I accept what they accept to be existence. I also not accept when they do not accept if something exists. So this is in fact the meaning of the following line of the 70 stanzas on the emptiness, where the Nagarjuna stated how all presentations, existence, non-existence, and so on are presented from the point of view of conventional known to the world. And what are those, enduring, arising, disintegration, existing, and non-existence? And inferiority, the equality, superiority. These, the Buddha spoke in accordance with conventional of the world, not according to the final reality. It is not because of the ultimate. It is because, how the world sees, So from the how the world sees, yes, there is, the way the world sees, there's origination, disintegration, existent and non-existence, or present and past and the future. So that is not the final realities. The final reality means, as they speak of the present, the present do not exist as they speak of the present. So how the world sees the presence remain, abide. There is no abiding in the time. So so the root text then says, just as things do not exist for those arhats who have shunned the aggregates and abide in peace. Now this is talking about non-abiding, non-abiding, is nirvana with non-residue. So in the Prasangic school, the definition of nirvana without residue, nirvana with residues. Prasangic school definitions and other school definitions are different. So the other kind of, except the Prasangic school, most of, school, when they think of nirvana without residue means arhat, who has already passed away and no more kind of reborn in second existence. So which is the kind of the death, arhat being died. In Prasangic school, the arhat, the non-residue means arhat, who is totally observing in emptiness, purely observing, abiding in emptiness, is non-residue. So residue means you see the conventional realities. Arhat, who smell, who see the color, who hear the sounds, at the arhat, nirvana with residue. Arhat is totally, focused and observing in emptiness is non-residue. So that's the Prasangic school, the definition.
Which school believe that the that has to die to gain?
So I think the other than Prasangic school, most of this is nirvana without residue means what something left and you have, left from the karmic as a karmic result. Arhat who has not died, they have the body, which is the body that is a result of your karma and previous karma. When you leave this body, and then you have no residue from the result of the karma. So now this in the Prasangic schools, from their understanding of it, nirvana without residue, saying that just as things do not exist for those arhat who have shunned the aggregates and abide in peace, totally observing in emptiness. If something does not exist from the perspective of the world, then saying that this is almost same as an arhat who is totally observing in emptiness. There's no sound, smell, taste. There's no past, present, futures in their mind. So if conventional kind of disappears, dissolve like arhat, then conventional realities may not be reality. Even in terms of the everyday worlds, we do not say that it exists. So if conventional reality is like an arhat without residue, as all just disappears in emptiness, nothing left, and then probably there is no language to say go there, come here, and sit and stand. There's nothing. So now this is saying that ultimately may not be exist, but relatively from the conventional, yes, they do exist. It's not totally absent like arhat sees, in emptiness. Just as all things of this conventional truth do not exist for those arhat who have shunned the aggregates and abide in the expanse of the peace of nirvana without residue. In the same manner, if something does not exist from the perspective of the world, then in that case, just in the case of the nirvana without residue, we do not say that it exists even in the terms of or from the perspective of the everyday world. So then probably eat, smell, hear, these may not possible. So it is therefore only in the dependence on the worldly convention that I accept the conventional truth. I do not assert it independently without being contingent on the worldly convention. So I think it's kind of, this is kind of showing there's the avenue when you are, when your mind is, seeing from the ultimate point of view, you may not find anything to be existing. When you, out from that meditations, when you compare the things, you may see, existing with the past, present, futures. You may see color, sound, smell, taste, textures. The first, it's the world alone that accepts this conventional truth. It is therefore on the basis of what has been accepted alone that inappropriate claim can be eliminated. And it would be, legitimate as well to engage in such eliminations. Such rejection cannot be from the Madhyamika standpoint. This is expressed in the following. So what it said. So now this thing, I accept the 3 times. I'm accepting the 3 times not because of 3 times that exists independently. I accept the 3 times because of the conventional, because of the everyday worldly perceptions. So because of that, I accept 3 times exists. Not like, for example, with my open eye or with closed eye, the table in front of me is always there. The 3 times not like that table that exists outside. 3 times exists when you look from the conventional, from the worldly point of view. 3 times exist. And from the worldly conventional, yes, I can say from the one braid, I see the variety, the color, smell, taste, textures. From the worldly point of view. From the worldly conventional, so I think here it's saying yes, that I can walk on the earth, and ultimately there is no independent I walk on the earth, or there is no the hardness of the soil. So with this tactilities is experience that something is hard, something soft and hard, heavy and light is from the conventional. So there's no ultimately heavy and there's no ultimately light. And one proof is, for the simple proof is, depending on your strength of the body and some things that you can find heavy and light. When you are sick and weak and you find something heavy, and then you're strong enough, you can find it's light. So it's not light and heavy is not pre-existing. And the same thing, the very concept of light and heavy is also, created, from the contact of the consciousness and faculties. So with relation to the consciousness and faculty, there's something to be experienced, light and heavy, soft and rough. I think this year, maybe, it's our, overly, 200% we accept. There is ultimate light, ultimate soft, ultimate, rough, and ultimate cold, ultimate heat. So now they're saying there's no ultimate heat, there's no ultimate cold, there's no ultimate, heavy or light. So this means when you meditate in emptiness, you may completely convincingly and it's really becomes so clear to you, this whole light and heavy, cold and heat are totally non-existent. From one point of view, you may find there's nothing. And then there's another avenue, you can see all of them are existing. So like if you go into space straight and there's nothing, and then you land back and then you find trees, the house, the people's stores, the markets, right? So there's this all kind of the what do you call the perceptions, So this is very, very, I think it's not really easy in this, kind of even in the Prasangika school, the perfectly balancing the ultimate truth and conventional truth. If you talk about emptiness, and then, this is just all about emptiness. So, and then the conventionals talk about conventional, and everything is solid and concrete existence. So which means we haven't really found the balancing of the conventional and the ultimate truth. So such kind of rejection cannot be from the Madhyamika point of view, standpoint. So there's no rejections, ultimately, no soft, no right, no soft and no rough, no light, no heavy, no color, no smell, no taste, no textures, no eye, no nose, no tongues, right? No form, no smell, no taste, no textures. Relatively, yes, all exist. Now this is the Prasangika school, saying that this is Prasangika school's standpoint. No contradictories. Both conventional ultimately complementing each other's. Because of the emptiness, find the conventionals. Because the more you find the conventional, more you interest in emptiness. So both are, complement each other's. And then the Prasangika school now arguing the minority school, saying if you think that everyday world does not invalidate you, so you think, in the everyday world we says, go out, come here, sit down, there's something you can go out, look out, hear that out, listen me. So the whole world saying there's external. But you think that, external world does not exist. So then, Prasangika schools, if you think that everyday world does not invalidate you, then using conventions of the world, refute this conventional truth. Now I let you, debate with the world. And if you, you should thus enter into the dispute with the world, and we will follow you. We will follow whoever prevails from this. If you win the world, and we will follow you. So Prasangika school says, so just go and, convince the world that there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to see outside. There's nothing to see, hear the sound from the outside. You just prove that, If you succeed and I follow you, if you are defeated by the world, then I will go with the world.
So is this saying, because I think that first line throws me, is it saying that if you think that the everyday world does not invalidate you, then using the conventions of the world? So is this almost saying that, like, if you think you can convince the world using their reasoning, And you win.
If you think that world is not going to disapprove you,
Okay.
invalidate you.
Right. Okay.
If you think that the worldly knowledge is not disapprove you or not harm to your point of view, right? Then I let you just convince them.
And if you win, then
If you win, I just come with you
Yeah.
with kata, some cookies. With, so I say,
Basically,
from now on, I follow you. So
basically trying to acknowledge that there is this conventional truth that you
Yeah.
have to go with.
Yeah.
You can't just say, blah, 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 nothing.
Yeah.
And
So there's no external exist, nothing outside. And then, but you say, when you say, if you want to buy, how about if you want to go buy milk? If you want to go out, or you just imagine bringing So everything is Amazon in mind.
Yeah.
So,
Amazon mind. Yeah.
so this is what the Prasangika school says, if you think that everyday world does not invalidate you, world is not going to defeat with you or defeat you. So we will follow whoever prevails from this. On our part, given the tremendous hardship required to bring about the cessation of the deluded perceptions pertaining to the conventional truth in our own mental continuum. That is the everyday, everybody's the goal to, to eliminate the delusional mind. So we will abide in the cultivation of the path. However, if you think that everyday world does not invalidate you, then go ahead. Refute this conventional truth using convention of the world itself. And if you do succeed through your reasoning in refuting this, so we too will side with you and be your ally. Ally? This said, since you will almost certainly be wounded by the world, we will not assist, but remain neutral. You should thus enter into the dispute with the world, and in its aftermath, we will follow whoever prevails from this. So if you got harmed by the world, I'm not going to assist you. So, if you win, and this is something we wish for, we will then follow you. If, however, the world defeats you, we will trust the world that possesses such great power. So in view of all this, since the non-existing of the external reality is controverted by valid conventional cognitions, you, Chittamata, can never succeed in proving that there is no external reality. So it's saying liberation, just forget about the liberations. Just go and prove, external world is not exist. If you got defeated, and we are not going to assist you, if you succeed on that, then we will follow you. So the questions, does this mean that Chitrama, the reasonings refuting the external reality composed of the indivisible atom on the ground, that such atom does not exist? Composed of the indivisible, right? Indivisible, undividable, the atoms, partless particles. So do not exist and does not negate external realities, composed of the dimensionless particle. So you can say there's a dimensionless particle or the partless particle is not there. Therefore, there's no collections of partless particle, or there's no any form that is composed from the partless particle. This can say that anything that form is not from the partless particle. It's not saying there's no external. So you're just refuting a partless particle or dimensionless particle, and it will establish, yes, things are not partless. It is with part. And this much you can prove. Now you are going a little bit over that, saying external is not exist. So it's saying that if you say the color, the form that I see with my eye consciousness is not from dimensionless particle, therefore I'm not going to accept the form to be existing. Almost like that. So you can say because the dimensionless particle is not possible, therefore there is no form that composed from the dimensionless particle, which means form with dimensions. You have negated dimensionless. So this, it's a form with dimension means particle with dimensions. Dimension, right? Dimension. Negate externally composed with the dimensionless. Replies, I do not say that such thing is not negated by the valid cognition, even though that kind of external reality is negated, even though that kind of external, so maybe that kind of external form which is composed through partless particle. So this may you have negated, and we say, I also agree with that, but say, so therefore there's no form from the partless particle, therefore no form is exist. That's too much. So it's almost like this person not thief, therefore this person not exist. No. So it's almost like a coyote is not born from rabbit. So therefore, coyote born from rabbit is not exist. Therefore, coyote does not exist. So yeah, even though that kind of external reality is negated, this does not mean there is no external reality at all. We should understand in the same way how, although the temporarily, indivisible moment of the consciousness and mental continuum compressed of such moment are negated, this does not negate cognition itself. So we say, Kiji Chame, indivisible moment of the consciousness. So there is no event or the time of the consciousness which is indivisible. And every time can be divided. In the opponent's views, when the external reality is composed of the indivisible matter is negated, then the sensory consciousness, undeceived with respect to their perceptions, are also negated. So when there is from the mind-only school, every eye consciousness is mistaken with respect to their object because they do not accept external reality. Every eye consciousness sees the external reality, right? So with respect to the perceptions also negated, and since deluded sensory cognitions cannot posit that fact, so the thinking goes, external reality itself come to be negated. However, here in our systems, we maintain that although the deluded sensory cognitions cannot posit it as a real object, such deluded cognition can, in fact, be complementary factor for positing an unreal object. So this is what Chandrakirti felt. This point is accepted the Aryadevas as well in 400 stanzas. So, every time the Prasangika school says, color, sound, smell, taste, textures are conventional reality, but they are not real, they are not truly exist. So which means, that saying that even the eye consciousness sees the color, it's not seeing the color as it is. So that, so knowing there's some mistake in your eye consciousness is complementary factor to prove, whatever you see through eye may not be truly exist. Because every subject, the consciousness, is always, influence or the impact from the misconceptions and delusional. So you cannot accept the things that you see and smell directly from the sensory perceptions is truly exists as it appears.
So this was saying that the eye sense power can be a complementary factor in seeing how the object truly exists, but it doesn't. So it has the potential to do so. Is that what it means?
It's a complementary factors because the sensory perceptions has always mistaken with respect to their object.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the complementary factor to prove how the object is not truly exist. Because the subject is always mistaken. So every mistaken consciousness, whatever it perceives, any object, they may not be truly exist. Because the subject which is, experiencing or perceiving that itself is mistaken. Sometimes we say, I saw something like, and then people may say, just check your eye. I don't see it, but you keep seeing it. So go to see the doctors, something like that. So which means because there's something problem in the eye, that is going to prove what you see through that eye may not be truly exist. So I think, for the ordinary people, we kind of, we are 100% very, convincingly believe, what we touch is truly exists because I touched it. I touched it. I saw it. I see it. I hear it. That is the most, heaviest reason to believe something is true because I see it, I smell it, I feel it, I touched it. So then if you prove each of the subject, the consciousness, has some kind of mistake, then you may doubt the things that I experienced through that mistaken consciousness may not be truly exist. So 400 stanzas, for instance, he stated, one exists and the other does not. This is neither in the reality nor according to the world.
Is that in reference to like the eye consciousness and the object it sees?
Huh? Means. So it's almost like, in conventionally, we say, my bodies, me and my bodies. So me and my body is not one, even in conventional, not in ultimately, not in conventional. And me and my body are not two different things, two independent objects, not in the conventional, not in ultimately. So one exists and other does not. And I think, maybe there's maybe different, if you translate a little bit different. Is they are not one and they are not different. So they are not one and they are not different. Because they being one, you and your body is the one or identical, is not even in the conventional. It's not true. If you and your body is one in the conventionally, it's true. Then, conventionally, you are the body. Body is you. So no conventional, and no worldly perspective that accept, we don't naturally, we don't say, my body is me. Right? So neither in the reality nor according to the world. Not ultimately, not conventionally. He thus explained how the differentiations between external reality and consciousness with respect to their existence and non-existence. So it cannot be accepted according to the standpoint of either of the true truth. So the external reality is not in the conventional, not in ultimately. Making such discrimination is therefore not the view of the Master Nagarjunas either. So the final they're saying that Prasangic school, that your, the empty of external realities. That is not in, not in ultimate truth, not in the conventional truth. It's never been real in the conventional or ultimate. So if this is conventionally, and then ordinary people, naturally they may think there's nothing outside to see. If there's nothing outside to see, no one want to go outside. No one wear the clothes. So everybody sit in the house nakedly. There's nothing to go out. No shoes needed. So now the Prasangic school, they kind of they are very convinced that external reality is real. There is things do exist externally. Now, if minority school asks the question to this Prasangic school, what is, in what base that you think there's the external reality? So maybe there's the internal element or outer element. There is the inner element in the body and outer elements. So if there is the element outside of the consciousness, outside of your sense faculty, there's the basis to create any form or smell, to experience by the consciousness. So therefore, external is there because the external cause is there. And then we say, what is the external element? What is the origin of the external element? The element, then the question is here, the external element. Is there any external element other than color, smell, taste, textures? We say there's the wind, air, things, So normally what we think of elements is the part of the tactilities, is the textures. So from the body, what we can, how we can experience or what we can experience, there is no any element to experience other than forms, smell, taste, textures, the sound. If these has to born from another element, and what is that element? So then maybe that is not the element, because the element, it has to be experienced by the sensory perception. So what me and you, do you want to give another name for that element? So that's why in the Vasubandhu's text that what is the Sanskrit word for that element? I forgot.
Juwan?
That's Tibetan word, yeah.
Oh.
We call it Juwan, Juwan means something that is occurring or not yet occur. So, which means not yet touch with consciousness, not yet employing with consciousness, not yet experienced by the consciousness. So what is that? Not yet, experienced by the consciousness, so which means it's yet to be coming. So what is that? Is that wind or is that space? Then say no. If this is space or the wind, it already experienced by the sensory perceptions. So it's yet to become to touch with sensory perceptions. Now that is purely hypothesis. So it cannot be, it's just mentally it can, you can mathematically say there must be something. So then is the potential of the element. So then and that kind of, how do you really think that there's some kind of potential element, but not yet in the form of element? So, and what makes you think there is some kind of potential element? So then says every physical form is consists of the four elements. The four elements, and four elements mean the how's that? Like for example, the table consists of the four elements. Four elements: the earth element, water element, earth element, wind element. So if they consist of the four elements, does that mean, within this table, you can find water and air? So there is, you cannot physically find there's the water. If there is no water, there's no the soil, there's no air, you can't, And then how do you say this is consists of the four elements? So this table, the physical form of the table, the hardness of the table, is hardened by the four elements. So then without that, can you think table can be hardened like a floor, and the rocks, the stones? So in what condition they being hardened, what condition they can be soft? It's not made by the consciousness. So then that's if there is something that could harden or soften, or so that is called potential element. Can this be experienced directly through the sense perceptions? We say not. Sensory perceptions cannot experience as a potential element. Potential element, when it come and touch with the sensory perception, it become the derivative element. So there must be, before it touch with consciousness, the whatever in the potential level, that's called potential element. And if you argue that, how can that be possible? Because it cannot experienced by the conscious sensory perceptions. It cannot, there is no any kind of, mentally you can understand. And then probably Prasangic school says, yes, mentally you can understand. Sensorily, there is no element, potential element to see. And then mentally understand, therefore it exists. This is like particles, minute particles. It's all mentally we can understand. The particles, the minute particles. If there is no minute particles, there is no collection of the particles. Therefore, there is no any form to be formed. So in this way, the potential elements exist. So finally it's just theoretically, it's at the end, it's theoretically. So some people may say it's mystery. Mystery, if that mystery, but still logically provable, and it's no longer a mystery, if there's the reason to prove, right, it's no longer mysteries. If you have no reason, you cannot prove it, and then it's remain mystery.
Feels like it kind of goes into that. I think I heard Jim talk about that with His Holiness at one point, where it was going into the form and the elements and trying to constantly find the next base or the next, like the smallest point. It feels like it gets to this really abstract theoretical level where it almost becomes hard to talk about it.
Like for example, the wave and particles.
Yeah, that.
So it's kind of, you can talk about it, you can prove, and you can reason out there's a possibility of the wave, but it cannot be proven to your sense of perception. But it has to be exist. Without that, no form could, happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot say that what I see, the form, is the wave. That is not a wave.
Right.
Without a wave, this is not possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of theoretically, it's kind of logically, there must be.
And then that makes me think that one might argue, the potential element, that is the basis of all. That is the thing, the Atma, whatever you want to say. But I feel like the first refutation might be that potential is not the same as the object that is created, if, like, so to speak. I don't know if that makes sense, but like that's, from what we've kind of been studying, it seems like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Can you say that again?
Because if you're saying, the elements are there, and it sounds like the consciousness comes into contact with the potential element, but we cannot perceive that through the sensory level. And then it creates the basic fire, earth, water.
Yeah.
And then the object we see is constructed from that. But we can't find those objects, those elements in there. So what it makes me think is someone might say, it's the middleman, the potential element, that's the Atma, that's the basis, that is the everything, that is, everything comes from. But I guess.
Yeah, I think you cannot say that is the everything. Mm-hmm. I think that has only function when it is contact with the sensual faculties. Right. When it meets with consciousness, then it becomes something. Otherwise, apart from the consciousness, it's just paralyzed. It's coma. Right. It exists. So everything is in the buried in cemetery.
It's not a zombie.
When the sun rises, there's something activities. People say there's some energies going around, or some kind of heat.
This idea of a potential element is only observed in Prasangika.
Yeah, Prasangika, that's definitely there's something. So that's what they, in Sweden we give the name, the future tense for the element.
Future.
Jumas. So it's going to be, it's yet to occur. It's going to occur. Something going to be occur in the form of water, water, soil, the earth, yes.
Even when we talk about the potential of a seed, you can't really perceive that. I mean, it's a mental.
Yeah, I think if you think there's some kind of, in the form of the wave or the potential element, that is always, is ready to, inform when it contact with consciousness. So that after death, the consciousness leaves the body, and suddenly it has another form, instantly. So which means they don't have to find, like the store, which box my form is there. So it's just because of this already there and everywhere, and the consciousness contact, it's formed into any kind of form. So I think from here, Charlie Kidd is the commentary on the 70 standards. With object and the time, everything ceases, like with object and the time, you see color, smell, taste, textures.
Mhm.
With object in time, you see friends, enemy, parents, brothers, sisters. With object and time, this is my position. This was my position. This is now new positions. So this whole thing's the changing. So the potential is always there. Sometimes I always think that in the Hinduism, when they talk about they say the Paramatma, the Bhagavan, a God. So Paramatma means the Param means principle. Atma is the self, the principle self. So the main self. So that is saying that, and then when it's put into the form, and this is the Paramatma, the Bhagavan of water, Bhagavan of fire, Bhagavan of air, Bhagavan of the soil, then this is Bhagavan of the earth, Priti say that, earth. So then its form is a lady, because she gave birth all the trees, people, everything. So they have to imagine in the form of the lady, with sari, because in India. So maybe if the Western people think that, this lady, and she might be wearing the skirt or something. So it's kind of idea. I thought maybe this kind of. So if you go a little deeper, now the potential of the element, water, potential of the wind, potential of all of them, they think is the source of everything. So therefore, this is the Bhagavan. This is the God. We are all creation from that. Now, when we think there's other misinterpretation, exaggerations from that, yes, it is the origin of that. So, you say, what do you call this? You can say there's the glass, glass, and then the grass, the dry grass, and then the sunlight. So which one is the origin of the fire? So this sun hit on that glass that produced the fire. So are you going to worship the glass? Are you going to worship the sun, or the fire that burning in the grass? So there's no independent. They just go with, without this, the wave or the particles of the potential element, nothing could happen. Everything has to born from there. Now it is almost like this, each of the potential element have their own mind to create something. So then probably if you want to see the color and you say, pray to the potential element, then let me see the orange colors. Let me see brown colors. Right? There's no point to worshiping to the potential element to create something. It will automatically create it when you're in contact with your consciousness and the faculty. So there's no, one particular object to worship. If you had to choose, one thing, one condition to be worship object, then probably we should choose the consciousness. Consciousness. With consciousness, it's changing the element. Everything changed by the own consciousness. So consciousness to change things, either without the potential element, consciousness is like, without hand. So that's why no self means that includes no creator. No, there's no single cause for the everything. So no effect has born from one single cause. So even one single effect is called composite phenomena. And the many things together to create one effect, to produce one effect. If there's a creator, there's a single cause which produces everything. So one seed that produced the sprout, tomato, orange, and everything.
So could we say, back to your thing of consciousness, if it were to be something the closest, could we say that it doesn't create it, but like you said, it organizes it, it almost places it into like a pattern, or kind of like the consciousness does that? Like,
You say that again?
like consciousness doesn't create things, but it organizes when it interacts with elements and all these things. That's how.
Yeah. It's, for example, if there's sunlight, the light hits from the window, and you are standing here, you create a shadow. So my body is no need to think of I'm going to produce the shadow. When the sun hits my body, there's this. As the result, the shadow is there. So there's no one single thing is the responsible for everything. So we cannot find the leader. So that's why dependent originations. Everything is dependent arising. That's what in the Right Seeding Sutra, where they says, whoever sees the dependent origination sees the Dharma. Who sees the Dharma sees the Buddha. Okay. So I'll just stop here. Chapter 15, how to read the sutra. Yeah. Chanju Simjo Rinpoche Maje Bana Jeju Jeba Nyamba Merma Nyamba Kone Kone Gabricho Tonye Tawa Rinpoche Maje Bana Jeju Jeba Nyamba Merma Nyamba Kone Kone Gabricho Pama Simjen Tamje Dada Deju Gendro Tamje Tato Kong Chanju Simba Kana Sushu Gota Dabu Molom Jubiju Karera Loko Vishaman Pandan Dewa Manu Jereza Wantinzi Gando Yeshabe Side Badu
May the precious body mind not yet born arise and grow. May that bone have no decline, but increase forevermore. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet born arise and grow. May that bone have no decline, but increase forevermore. Due to all these spirits, may all Father and Mother sentient beings have all the happiness, and may all the lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. O powerful intrinsic tensing Katsu, remain in this world until samsara ends.
Thank you.